So if the United States truly wanted to impose a blockade on top of Iran's own blockade effort in the Strait of Hormuz, how would it do it? Instead of recklessly sending massive aircraft carriers into those narrow, high-risk waters, the U.S. Navy would most likely rely on guided missile destroyers. It could position one in the north, one in the central area, and keep a third ready as a reserve force. But the major problem is that Iran would not respond with missiles alone. It could also use sea mines, and in this scenario, it could scatter mines throughout the strait, with some even drifting into the waters of neighboring Arab countries. So how would the United States deal with those mines? The answer is littoral combat ships. These vessels can deploy unmanned surface vehicles to sweep the area. When surface systems cannot reach deep minefields, the U.S. Navy would bring in Knife Fish, a robotic underwater vehicle designed to go straight into the danger zone to hunt for and identify mines buried on the seafloor, then safely neutralize them using magnetic and acoustic signals. Even so, the threat would still not be over. Iran still has swarms of high-speed attack boats, often compared to mosquito swarms, capable of threatening even large U.S. warships. To counter this kind of swarm attack, the United States could deploy fast-attack Apache helicopters to chase down and destroy the boats with 30mm chain guns. If the U.S. military were ordered to completely lock down the Strait of Hormuz, what would happen? The answer is simple but brutal. It would not be a quick, clean, and easy victory.
World War
Instead,
II
it
saw
could
naval
become
operations
the
across
most
vast
complex,
oceans.
grueling,
Contrast that with the
and
confined Strait of
dangerous
Hormuz,
naval
a modern
operation
strategic
since
choke
World
point.
War II.
Any blockade here would create a complex,
So how
high-stakes
would the
confrontation.
United States establish the front line? The answer lies in the first phase, the picket line and the silent hunters. The spearhead would not be an aircraft carrier because those assets are too valuable and too vulnerable to sit inside a narrow strait that is only about 21 nautical miles wide at its narrowest point. Instead, the United States would rely on a wolf pack of 4 to 6 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. These ships would form a layered patrol zone, one watching the northern approach near the Iranian coast, one controlling the deep water channel in the center, and another hanging back as a rapid response reserve.
For immediate deployment.
Their combined radar network would create an invisible dome covering the entire strait. Nothing could fly, nothing could sail, and no launch from shore could take place without being detected within seconds. But what about below the surface? The answer is the Virginia-class attack submarine, quietly patrolling at a depth of about 400 feet. It carries heavyweight Mark 48 torpedoes, powerful enough to snap surface ships in half. To Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, this submarine would be almost completely invisible. Its mission would be to handle the nightmare scenario. If Iran's Kilo-class submarines tried to break the blockade or secretly lay more mines in the deep channel, the Virginia submarine would destroy them before they could even surface. And what about sea mines? Would they really be a serious problem for U.S. destroyers? The answer is yes, absolutely. That takes us to Phase 2, robotic mine-clearing forces. This is where Hollywood-style imagination usually gets it completely wrong. In a blockade, the greatest threat is not always incoming missiles. Sometimes it is contact mines and influence mines, cheap, patient, but extremely deadly weapons. Iran could absolutely scatter them throughout the Strait of Hormuz, and quite a few could drift into the waters of nearby Arab states. So how would the United States eliminate these hidden killers? The answer is the Independence-class Littoral Combat Ship. These vessels operate on a completely different philosophy. They are not traditional minesweepers, but robot motherships that stay outside the minefield at a safe distance while unmanned systems do the dangerous work. The entire process is tightly structured step by step. Detect, localize, classify, identify, and neutralize. The first step begins with the Common Unmanned Surface Vehicle, an unmanned boat about 39 feet long launched from the stern of the Littoral Combat Ship. It operates on the surface and tows a sonar system behind it, like a long, patient finger tracing the seafloor. Meanwhile, the second step comes from the air. An MH-60 Seahawk helicopter lifts off from the LCS flight deck to scan that same stretch of water from about 100 feet above, searching for floating threats. But neither the unmanned boat nor the Seahawk can go deep. So what goes directly into the minefield? The answer is the Knifefish unmanned underwater vehicle. Knifefish goes where no sailor should, straight into the danger zone, giving commanders better hunting capability by detecting and identifying buried mines even in heavily cluttered underwater environments. When it is time to finish the job, the U.S. Navy can also use an unmanned surface vessel to tow the unmanned influence sweep system through the water. This system is highly effective. It tricks bottom mines into detonating harmlessly by imitating the magnetic and acoustic signature of a large warship before they can pose a real threat. But what if Iran unleashes its Mosquito attack boats? The answer comes in Phase 3, air power. Imagine roughly 24 high-speed attack boats racing out of Bandar Abbas at 40 knots. They carry rocket launchers, heavy machine guns, and possibly C-802 anti-ship missiles. They spread out widely to turn targeting into a nightmare. Once it becomes clear that the swarm is too large for the warships to handle alone, air power could be called in. The answer at that point is the A-10 Thunderbolt II. This aircraft, best known for killing tanks, is actually terrifying against small boats as well. Flying low and relatively slow, A-10 pilots have excellent visibility. But the A-10 would not open with its gun. Its first strike would usually be the AGM-65 Maverick missile, a precision-guided electro-optical or infrared weapon that allows the pilot to lock directly onto a boat's engine compartment through a cockpit display. Once it gets in closer, the A-10 would unleash its main weapon, the massive 30mm GAU-8 Avenger cannon, firing depleted uranium rounds powerful enough to tear apart a fiberglass speedboat in a burst lasting about 1 second. The distinctive sound of the A-10 alone can have a major psychological effect. Then comes Phase 4, Apache death at sea level. While the A-10 operates at medium altitude, the Boeing AH-64E Apache Guardian would hunt targets right inside the danger zone, low, fast, and ruthless. Army Apache helicopter units could operate from the decks of U.S. Navy amphibious assault ships in the Gulf. Notably, the Apache was not originally designed specifically for overwater combat. Even so, against the swarm boats of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, its preferred weapon would be the AGM-114 Hellfire Romeo, a laser-guided missile that can be ripple-fired in rapid sequence with high accuracy. These helicopters are fast enough to run down high-speed attack boats at terrifying speed. In addition, the Apache carries the 30mm M230 chain gun, slower than the A-10's cannon but highly accurate, along with 70mm hydro rockets that can be fired in salvos against groups of lightly armored boats. But the story does not stop with war, military hardware. These kinds of threats also happen to ordinary people every day. All it takes is one spam email, one scam call, or one online personal data breach for trouble to begin. Exposed data does not just lead to spam and scams. It can also affect your insurance rates and even lead to a loan denial at the exact moment you need credit the most. Incogni is presented as a solution that helps protect your privacy by regularly scanning for and preventing data brokers from re-uploading your information. You also get a clear, real-time dashboard that is easy to follow, so you can see how your data is being handled. With the add-on plan, users can access a custom data removal tool.
Shows U.S. naval
When you
positions.
find a
Pulsating
website
red markers
exposing
appear
your
along the
personal
Iranian coast,
information,
indicating the
you
yellow
simply
lines plot
paste the
strategic
link
responses.
into that tool
How will Iran
and hit
react?
submit. After about 30 to 45 days, the data is removed. At its core, the message is very clear. Take back control of your personal data. Returning to the Strait of Hormuz, how might Iran respond, and what strategy would the United States use as tensions escalate? First, you have to look at the geography of this choke point. At its narrowest, the strait is only about 39 kilometers wide, or roughly 21 nautical miles. The northern coastline belongs to Iran and is heavily mountainous. That gives it natural camouflage and hardened bunkers deep inside the mountains for missile launchers. Iran also controls a chain of islands such as Qeshm, Larak, and Abu Musa. Do not think of them as ordinary islands. Think of them as fixed armed fortresses, anti-access defense systems sitting right on the edge of the shipping lanes. And the lanes themselves are extremely tight. Because the waters are shallow and filled with reefs, supertankers are forced to move through a strict traffic separation scheme. One inbound lane about 2 miles wide, one outbound lane about 2 miles wide, and a 2-mile buffer zone in between. If attacked, those huge cargo ships would have almost no room to maneuver. So what tactics would Iran use to control this narrow corridor? To lock down Hormuz, it would have to control the islands. The Revolutionary Guard relies on a trio of fortified outposts, each with its own role, but all extremely dangerous. First is Larak Island, which can be seen as the throat grabber of the choke point. Larak sits right at the throat of the strait, directly overlooking international shipping lanes. The strategy here is close-range intimidation. Because of its position right next to the transit corridor, fast attack boats launching from there could reach a cargo ship in just minutes, giving the crew almost no time to react. Larak creates no-move zones, where drones monitor stationary tankers while speedboats physically surround them. If a captain tries to power up and leave, they could open fire immediately. Second is Qeshm Island, the heavy weapons arsenal. If Larak is the knife at the throat,
Qeshm Island,
then
a
Qeshm
strategic pillar
is
in
the
the north.
sledgehammer. It is the
Further
largest
south,
island in the Persian
Abu
Gulf
Musa
and
serves
serves
as a
as
forward
Iran's
attack
main
outpost.
military hub. Its rugged mountains hide a maze of underground bunkers and mobile anti-ship missile launchers. Qeshm is built to launch heavy anti-ship missiles such as the P-15, while also concentrating drone bases and radar stations. In other words, it is the strategic pillar of Iran's coastal defense system. Next comes Abu Musa, the forward attack outpost. Located farther south, right at the doorstep of rival Arab states, Abu Musa is a heavily fortified early warning center. It extends Iran's anti-access and area denial bubble deep into the Gulf. The radar systems there can track Allied warships and cargo vessels long before they reach the choke point. It is a launch platform that significantly expands Iran's threat zone. So how could Iran attack a cargo ship? The first move would most likely be a swarm of fast attack boats. The Revolutionary Guard could deploy an entire fleet of small boats that are hard for radar to detect, running at speeds of 50 to 70 knots. Around 10 to 20 of them could converge on a single cargo ship from all directions at once. They would rush weak points using heavy machine guns and shoulder-fired missiles to attack. Their targets would be the bridge, to blind the ship, and the engine room, to leave it dead in the water. Hidden within that chaos would also be unmanned suicide boats, remotely controlled and packed with explosives, driven straight into the hull to blast a large hole right at the waterline. While the crew is completely overwhelmed, other boats would quickly drop tethered naval mines directly in the ship's path. The message is very clear. Stop or risk having your keel broken. If the swarm boats fail to take down the target, the second tactic would be anti-ship missiles. These would be launched from highly mobile trucks that fire and then immediately retreat into fortified mountain shelters. Coastal defense cruise missiles such as the Noor or Ghadir use a deadly trick: sea-skimming flight to reduce the enemy's reaction time. But U.S. destroyers would not be standing still either. They rely on advanced combat networks such as the Aegis system to detect the exact moment an Iranian missile leaves the launcher. Then, fire interceptors such as the SM-2 or SM-6 to destroy the threat in midair. At the same time, Seahawk and Apache helicopters could hunt attack boats from above using Hellfire missiles. Even so, the ultimate countermeasure would not be defense, but preemptive offense. The United States and its allies maintain an entire fleet of surveillance drones, continuously monitoring Iran's coastline in real time. If they detect mobile missile launchers rolling out of mountain bunkers or ships loading sea mines in port, Allied fighter aircraft and Tomahawk missiles launched from warships would be tasked with destroying them before they could fire a single shot. Hidden deep inside underground bunkers, Iran's P-15 anti-ship cruise missiles pose a major threat to international shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. To neutralize that danger, U.S. forces could drop multiple 5,000-pound bunker-busting bombs on hardened coastal missile positions. The weapon referred to here is the GBU-72, a 5,000-pound precision-guided bomb fitted with a JDAM kit. These large bombs can penetrate about 160 feet of earth or 20 feet of solid reinforced concrete. Once they break through the protective layer, they explode with enough force to completely wipe out the underground structure below. In short, if the United States were to truly lock down the Strait of Hormuz, it would not be a single battle, but a multi-layered operation in which everything from destroyers, submarines, mine-clearing robots, armed helicopters, attack aircraft, and deep penetration bunker-busting bombs would have to function as one machine. And on the other side, Iran would be anything but an easy opponent. It has terrain, islands, missiles, fast boat swarms, sea mines, and tactics designed to make its enemy pay in time, pressure, and losses. That is why any attempt at a full blockade in this strait, if it happened, would be an extremely costly, dangerous, and drawn-out confrontation. Never a quick victory.